It is totally reckless, or it was totally reckless, callous. It is indicative of an uncaring attitude and a primary concern simply over political advantage to have called this election at this time in this country. We had what, 530 something, almost 550 reported cases of infection yesterday, and the chances are those trends will continue. I want to use your imagination. If those trends should continue by the 19th of January, election day, you know the multiple thousands of people who would have been robbed by this government of their right to vote, the multiple thousands of voters who would have been robbed of their right to vote if that trend should continue. But that is the uncaring attitude. Politics comes first. Power comes first. When you have the numbers in Parliament, you can do that. That is why the electorate this time around must reverse that trend and rebalance the numbers in the Parliament of Barbados. If the electorate chooses to put them back in government after all we have seen, then we live by the choice of the people. But at least we need to redress those numbers in the Parliament of Barbados and let this government understand that you can't abuse power purely on the force of numbers. Multiple thousands of people, through no fault of their own, will not be able to vote in this next election, and especially if these trends continue. Now, I said this from the beginning. I had a meeting with the Electoral Boundaries Commission about 4 or 5 days ago, and I said it then. These people are not at fault. Now, if you're in the QEH hospital, you're lying on your back and so forth, you can't come out to vote. That is fine. We understand that. That is a matter where you really can't. You don't have the physical mobility, the medical capacity to come out and do it. But these people can vote, all for the exception that the government says they must stay at home. Now, I want you people to hear this and hear me carefully. I am no lawyer, but I believe that that is something that can be challenged. The Representation of the People's Act says that everything must be put in place, that people who are qualified to vote must be able to vote. The Constitution of Barbados says, that any electoral law, and the Representation of the People's Act is an electoral law, any electoral law must be of such substance that every practical effort is made to facilitate people in the exercise of their right to vote. And what we have is a situation here where the government has chosen to take a course of action which will deny them their right to vote. Now, that is a serious stress, and Barbadians need to stand up and take stock of that. I'm further calling on the opposition parties in Barbados to join me in mounting a protest to that, whether we take legal action and ask for some kind of judicial review. My understanding as well is that the Constitution of Barbados suggests very clearly, in the event of an emergency, an election date can be changed, and the government should be giving serious consideration to changing this election date. Now, a state of emergency is the circumstance in which that change can be made, and we are in the middle of a state of emergency, and we are in the middle of the pandemic which brought about that state of emergency in the first place. This is a very serious matter. I want Bajans to be clear. This government continues to abuse its power. Prime Minister is now calling for one-party state in Barbados, from what I hear of her. And it's a serious thing. These numbers in Parliament need to be addressed. The health of Barbados need to be put first. And you can't continue to do this thing simply because you think you have the numbers. The real and ultimate power in this country rests with the people. And if this election goes on the 19th, I am calling all of those who are in a position to come out legally and do so, to come out and vote against this government. It's a very serious thing.